myself is Divya Bahal, Assistant Professor in Chemical Engineering Department at LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. The subject that we are going to continue is petroleum refining and petrochemicals. So now moving back to chapter number 8, that is about your C2 petrochemicals. Okay, some of the topics which are important here are, first of all, you will study about isopropanol from propylene, right? So propylene, what is it? C3 petrochemicals. Okay, so isopropanol is also one kind of petroleum product, okay, petrochemical which you obtain from propylene. So first of all, let's start with the reactions that are carried out here are, first of all, the first step is sulfation. Okay, so here you can see that your propylene, that is CH3CH2, okay, that is your propylene. When it reacts with sulfuric acid, it gives you isopropyl acid sulfate. Okay, so intermediate is what? Isopropyl acid sulfate. The next step is to carry out the hydrolysis. Okay, so here you can see that this intermediate isopropyl sulfate, when it reacts with water, you get your isopropanol and sulfuric acid. Now from the reaction you can see that your sulfuric acid, it is regenerated. Okay, so a regeneration process also goes side on side with your main reaction. Okay, now the side reaction which occurs is diisopropyl sulfate plus H2O, it gives you diisopropyl ether plus sulfuric acid. Okay, so here you can see that your intermediate also, okay, along with isopropyl sulfate, diisopropyl sulfate is also obtained, and in the second step, that is a hydrolysis, you are obtaining your ether also. See, the condition for side reaction to occur is when the stoichiometry of your both the reactants, okay, when they are not appropriate. Okay, if one product used is in limiting quantity, okay, so this will also result into a second pathway of reaction, and hence you get your side reactions. Okay, so to in your major engineering problems you will study. Okay, so to overcome the side reactions, what you do, you increase the proportion of your reactant. Okay, totally depends on the stoichiometry, right? Because appropriate temperature and pressure condition, okay, it also supports the another reaction to occur. So the side product here is what? Ether. Okay, that is a diisopropyl ether. Now the primary reaction is a gas liquid reaction, right, in which propylene is absorbed into a tray tower fed with sulfuric acid, right? So it is a vapor gas liquid reaction, right? Now the operating condition is, so your temperature is your room temperature, but the pressure is 20 to 25 atm. High pressure is there. Okay, the reaction is extremely exothermic in nature. So this is your flow diagram, right? From here you can see that your refinery gases, okay, either you can use pure propylene also, or your refinery gases which are obtained from other processes. Okay, so those gases which are C2 and C3, ethane and propene, okay, they are sent to your absorber. Okay, now see, recall the process of absorption. It is supported at less temperature and high pressure. Thus we can say that thus you have to increase your pressure up to what? 20 to 25 atm, because this is what? Absorption. The favorable condition of absorption is what? Low temperature and high pressure. So here you can see that your refinery gases, okay, they are it is sent to absorber, where you are sending your H2SO4. Okay, the concentration is what? About 70% is the concentration of your sulfuric acid, which is sent from the top, and you're feeding your feed, okay, from the bottom. So here you can see the counter current exchange is there, right? In absorption, in mass transfer operation, you might have studied counter current absorption. Okay, that leads to high amount of transfer of your solute from the gas phase into your liquid phase, right? So you can see the pressure is increased up to what? 20 to 25 atm. Now from this absorber you are then sending into stripper, hydrolyzer stripper, where you are adding what? Water. So this is the second phase of your reaction. Okay, water is added, it means now hydrolysis will go on. So move back to the process here. So first step is what? Compression of your feed up to 25 atm, because absorption is going on. Now in absorber what you are doing, you are sending your sulfuric acid with 70% concentration, such that counter current way of contacting is there between the vapors and the liquid, right? Now here refrigerating brine is used as a coolant. Why? Because this is highly exothermic reaction. Okay, the third step is you're sending this your reaction mixture into the hydrolyzer. Okay, hydrolyzer stripper, water is added. Okay, conversion of sulfonate product. Okay, so in hydrolysis reaction occur. Now the next step is you're sending it to caustic wash. Okay, now in caustic wash what is happening? The isopropanol vapors, okay, they are freed from the acidic impurities, okay, because we are using what acid. So SO3 gases, this in the midst of acidic gases are there. So you are washing it with caustic soda, NaOH. Then it is sent to partial condenser, where what is happening? Your ether and alcohol, okay, ether and alcohol, those two are the products which are obtaining, okay, they are separated from your unreacted propylene. So here you can see that in partial condenser. What is the meaning of partial condenser? It partially condenses, okay, condenses your feed mixture, so that a part of liquid is obtained and part is your vapor. Okay, so alcohol and ether, it is sent to the ether column, while from the water wash you can see that your vapors of propylene, they are recycled back to your feed, right? Now in ether column what happens? Ether is separated from your alcohol, your product isopropanol. Okay, here you can see that in ether column you are separating your ether and alcohol. Your ether is again recycled back with your feed. Okay, now this isopropanol, it is then sent to isopropanol column. Okay, so in isopropanol column here you can see that IPA column, what is happening? In the bottom you are getting your heavy ends with water, right? Whereas the top product, that is your azeotropic mixture. So azeotropic mixture of 87% isopropanol with water is obtained. Okay, see, the condition of formation of azeotrope has to be very specific. At 87% only you are getting, at 87% composition of isopropanol and water only you are getting your azeotrope, corresponding to that respective temperature and pressure. Okay, if 86% is there, then azeotrope will not form. So you have to be very specific here that 87% isopropanol water azeotrope is formed. Now this azeotropic mixture, of course it has to be separated, right? Then it is sent to azeotropic column, where which kind of distillation is going on? Azeotropic distillation is occurring here. Now here you use isopropyl ether as your azeotropic agent, right? A third entity which is added, that is your isopropyl ether. Now from here you get 99% isopropanol as a bottom product. So here you can see that in azeotropic column, right? In the bottom you are getting your 99% isopropanol, okay, whereas the unconverted azeotrope, okay, from top you are getting what, 87% isopropanol and water azeotropic mixture, which is again recycled back to the column. So this way about 99% pure isopropanol is obtained using this method. So this was about your flow diagram. Now uses of isopropanol. So there are many uses of isopropanol, right? Because alcohol, okay, the properties of alcohol are what, that it is mainly used as solvent in many industries, okay. So it finds its use in pharmaceutical application also because of its low toxicities, right? Then it is also used as a chemical intermediate in some industrial process, okay. Intermediate means the further reaction will give you, okay, another product. So it is used as an intermediate, that kind of. Then it is also used as a gasoline additive, right? So these are the certain uses of your isopropanol. Now about major engineering problems, okay. So first of all, in absorber, so what is happening in absorber? You are absorbing your ethylene and propylene, right? It has to be absorbed with what? Sulfuric acid. But ethylene being the light product, it is not easily absorbed, right, at low temperature and at low acidic concentration. So what we have to do, we have to increase the concentration here. Hence what you are doing, you are using 70% of your acid, right? But if heavy components like C4 are present, then they get absorbed and are obtained in isopropanol column. So because ethylene do not get easily absorbed, right? So from the top of the absorption column you can take out that as an impurity. But if in your feed you are having butane, okay, C4 components, right, then it get absorbed, and so further column has to be attached with your isopropanol column so as to remove that butanol, okay, because at the end what is our desired product? Purity, 99%. If butane is also absorbed together, then you have to install another separation column so as to remove that C4 component. The next engineering problem is the direct hydration reaction. Okay, so the direct hydration reaction is hard to carry out because at high temperature and the acid catalyst and vapor phase composition, right, polymerization reaction can occur. Okay, so here water and propylene are passed over the catalyst pellet. Okay, so because of liquid and vapor phase, reactor designing are also complicated. So the main problem is what, when we are trying to carry out the hydration reaction, okay, then the chances are that along with this hydration, your polymerization reaction can also occur. Okay, so this is one of the major important problem associated with your hydrolysis, right? So these are the major engineering problems associated with your isopropanol production. The next petrochemical which you can obtain from propylene is cumene. Okay, so the reactants here used are benzene and propylene. They react together to give you cumene. Okay, so along with propylene, the another reactant uses benzene. Of course, the reaction is what, exothermic in nature. The side reaction is that your benzene and propylene, they react to give you what, polyalkyl benzene. So your side product is what, polyalkyl benzene. The catalyst used here is H3PO4, okay, phosphoric acid impregnated on porous carrier. Okay, so porous carrier is required here. The operating conditions are, your temperature is about 250 degrees Celsius and your pressure is about 25 atmospheric, right? So this is your flow diagram. Okay, so here you can see that packed bed reactor is used and the temperature of this reactor is about what, 250 degrees Celsius. Okay, in major engineering problem we will study about that, as this is very exothermic reaction, right? Here we can use fluid as bed also, because in packed bed reactor, what is the problem? Problem of hotspot is there, right? But we will see why we are using packed bed reactor. Okay, so let's move on to the process. So first of all, as the process requirement is what, the pressure should be at 25 atm. Okay, so what you're doing, compression of propylene and propane is done up to 25 atm. Okay, the use of propane is what, it acts as a diluent. Okay, diluent means it also acts as the inert, because to take out the excess heat, right? So hence you're using your propane as a diluent or inert here. So what you're doing, you're compressing your propylene and propane up to 25 atm. Then it is heated and then fed to the packed bed reactor at 250 degrees Celsius. Okay, so here you can see that what you're doing, you're carrying out your heat exchange network synthesis. Okay, you are using the heat of different streams and preheating your feed, and then it is fed to the packed bed reactor which operates at 250 degrees Celsius temperature, right? So the next step is, now here reaction occurs. Okay, suitable reaction is occurring here. Now it is the mixture, your reaction mixture, it is then sent to depropanizer. So here you can see that in depropanizer, what you are doing, from the top you are taking out your propane. Okay, now after depropanizer, the bottom products of that depropanizer, okay, what is it? It is a mixture of cumene, benzene and polyalkyl benzene. Okay, some unreacted benzene is there, your main product cumene is there, and the side product is there. Okay, so here you can see that the depropanizer, okay, the bottom product of that is then sent to benzene column. Okay, so in benzene column, the distillation column is there. Okay, so separation of benzene and cumene is occurring here. Okay, so in benzene column you can see that further the benzene is taken out from the top and it is recycled back, right? Whereas the bottom product of this benzene column, it is then sent to cumene column. So in cumene column, finally you obtain your cumene. Okay, so this way you can see that the top product you get your cumene, and from the bottom you get your polyalkyl benzene, which is diisopropyl benzene. Okay, so this is the simple flow diagram of your cumene production. Now the major engineering problem associated here is, first of all, the reactor design for heat of reaction. This is highly exothermic reaction, right? So heat removal is main criteria for your reactor design. Okay, here the reactor uses what, packed bed reactor instead of a tubular reactor. Okay, instead of fluid as bed reactor. Why? Because with packed bed reactor, what you're doing, you're using propane as a diluent, which gives you efficient heat removal. Okay, here you can see that propane quench recycle is there. Okay, quenching means what, drastic cooling. So you are using propane here for that. Now propane being as it is recyclable and it is rather cheap, Hence, what you're doing, you're using packed bed reactor along with your propane. Because in fluidized bed reactor, you have to also carry out, you have to also use a cyclone separator also, right? Then regeneration has to be there of the catalyst. So another unit of regeneration has to be kept. So what you're doing, you're using your packed bed reactor with propane as a diluent. The next major engineering problem is your polyalkyl benzene formation, right? It is an undesired product which you're obtaining. So to overcome that, what you do, you can use, you can keep the proportion of benzene to propylene, okay, the reactant ratio high. So because of that, your side reaction should stop. So these are the major engineering problems associated with cumin production. So that was for today's lecture. Thank you.